They're full of court cases, crimes, and scandals, and we are getting the very latest from ABC News anchor and legal analyst Sunny Hostin, the author of the book Clever Fox, Judge Jeanine Pirro. Welcome back. We love having you both here. We're going to get right to it. The trial of George Zimmerman, charged with the murder and the shooting of Trayvon Martin, began this week. We talked about it earlier on the show as well. Sunny, you were actually in the courtroom. What can you tell us?
I just flew in just to meet with all of you today. I was in the courtroom for jury selection and all of this week. I will tell you that it is so intense in that courtroom. It's a rather small courtroom, and Trayvon Martin's family has been there from the very beginning. I think yesterday was a very difficult day for the family.
Walk out? They walked out.
They had to walk out because there were crime scene photos, and the photos that many people saw on television are nothing compared to what we saw in the courtroom. I mean, we're talking about the picture of their dead son laying splayed out on the ground, eyes open. It was really remarkable,
terrible.
and I've put in those types of photos when I was prosecuting cases, but you can only imagine what it must have been like for them.
We all speculated on the whole knock-knock joke opening statement.
The knock-knock joke heard around the world?
Exactly. You were there. How was it received by the parents? What was your initial reaction to it?
I thought, oh no. Oh my goodness. I mean, I've given a lot of opening statements. I've never heard anything like that. It fell so flat in the courtroom. Everyone was shocked. And let's remember, it was in comparison to that hot prosecutor that gave his 30-minute, opening.
How would you react, Judge?
Let me tell you, as a judge, that joke was so out of line. I would have considered sanctioning that attorney for contempt. We're talking about a murder of a 17-year-old boy, or whether it's self-defense or not. He is dead. You don't joke to a jury about this.
Yeah. Let's talk about the jury, because the jury consists of, what has it got, 5 white women and 1 person of mixed race, which we don't even know what that is.
Black or Hispanic.
All-female jury, correct?
Right. It's an all-female jury, which is very unusual. In the 30 years, I have never seen it, whether I was trying cases as a DA or a judge, and I think that both sides think they got something out of it. The defense says, on the one hand, you know, if a lot of these women are mothers, they may not be strong enough to convict someone of murder. And that's one of the things that I would charge a jury. You're going to have to look at that defendant and come out, eyeball him, and say guilty of murder.
It's a tough decision.
I think it's the opposite.
But I'm giving you the other opinion is this, that the mothers would say Trayvon could be my son,
right?
And therefore side with the prosecution. So there's something for both.
What about the racial element?
Well, I don't know. I think race is definitely sort of the elephant in the room. The prosecution didn't even discuss it. They couldn't during opening statements. But getting back to these 6 women, I've got to tell you, 5 of them are mothers. Everyone that is a mother is going to identify with those photos of that child that was on the ground shown yesterday in that courtroom.
Many of those mothers have guns.
I don't think it matters.
And wait a minute.
You think a gun's more important than someone's child?
No, I don't, of course not.
Thank you.
But I think that what's happening is they will associate with the alleged fear on the part of Zimmerman and say, I have a gun to protect myself, and therefore maybe he needed a gun. So both sides are pulling. Remember, this is an agreed upon jury by both sides.
How long is this going to last, by the way?
About 2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah,
I've been there. I'll be there for the duration, but about 2 to 4 weeks. It's moving very, very quickly.
We look forward to hearing more too. We also have an expert of the 911 call that was made and talk about identifying the crucial question is who was screaming on the tape, and we want to have you take a listen.
911, do you need police, fire, medical?
Maybe both. I'm not sure. There's just someone screaming outside.
And is it a male or female?
It sounds like a male.
And you don't know why?
I don't know why. I think they're yelling help, but I don't know.
Okay. Does he look hurt to you?
I can't see him. I don't want to go out there. I don't know what's going on. So they're sending.
So you think he's yelling help?
Yes.
All right. What is your number?
Just there's gunshots.
You just heard gunshots?
Yes.
How many?
Just one. Get down.
So we hear the screaming, gunshot screaming apparently stopped, but right now audio experts cannot testify in this case. Why not?
Well, because they're saying it's junk science, and the judge said it wasn't reliable. But I got to tell you, everyone's talking about, oh my goodness, no experts. you're going to have an expert testify, and that's going to be Sabrina Fulton. And she's going to get on the witness stand, and she's going to say, those are my son's cries. You mean to tell me that's going to be more important or less important than an expert? No way.
Well,
I mean, the Zimmermans are going to get on the stand,
right,
too.
but you see, that science really is not sophisticated enough to say a scream is from you or you when you can't compare it.
I'd rather have a mom get on the witness stand.
She will. Reasonable doubt.
We actually want to hear more from your area of expertise. When we come back, we're going to talk Paula Deen. Stay with us. We are glad to be back with Sunny Hostin and Judge Jeanine Pirro. We want to talk about Chef Paula Deen, of course, fired by the Food Network after admitting she's used the N-word during a deposition. Now, the suit was filed originally by a former employee, Lisa Jackson. Now that all this has been made public, is this a slam dunk case, Judge?
Well, there's no such thing as a slam dunk, but it certainly gives Paula Deen the incentive to try to settle this case. But what is fascinating about this is that the plaintiff in the case is not African American. She is white, and she is alleging sexual harassment on the part of Paula's brother. Right. She says, though, that the atmosphere and the environment was one of racial discrimination. So the question is, what she said, what is the relevance to the sexual harassment? But I'm not so sure that ultimately that will make the case winnable for the plaintiff.
Are all these interviews that she's doing, will they all be admitted into court? Can they be used against her?
Unless she says something that is contradictory to something else she said. But I really believe this will be settled.
What about other employees who are in the atmosphere?
Forward in a minute. Yeah. Every employee is saying, wait a minute. If she's saying there was sexual, racial discrimination, I'm of this particular bent, and she's got a lot of money. She's money bags.
And she admitted to using, you know, the N-word. What was shocking to me as a person of color was her response during the deposition. When she was asked whether or not she used it, her response was like, yeah, of course. Almost like, who doesn't? Well, hello, Paula, I don't, and no one should.
But I think what's interesting is the plaintiff says that she never heard Paula say anything racist.
But she admitted to it.
No, 30 years ago, which I'm not condoning.
20 or 30 years ago.
She said 30 today. She said 20 before in the statement. Okay. But the bottom line is that the plaintiff says, I've never known her to be racist or make a statement. That is very interesting.
That is interesting.
So it's a lot of craziness.
No slam dunk indeed. I want to move on to New England Patriots football player Aaron Hernandez. It seemed like it was a long time, but he was part of an investigation into the murder of semi-pro player Odin Lloyd. He was just arrested, Aaron Hernandez was, a few hours ago. What can you tell us about the case, honey?
Well, you know, we don't know what he was arrested on, but we do know now that an arrest warrant was issued because, as you see, there was the big perp walk out front of his home. Right. I think that tells us a couple of things. Tells us, one, law enforcement really comfortable with the evidence underlying the arrest warrant. And two, I mean, he has a lawyer. Why not then go to his lawyer and agree upon a way to surrender instead of that very public perp walk? That tells me either they're trying to pressure him into something, or they really believe that they have their guy.
The cops went to his house a few times. What are they looking for there?
Well, they already found a bunch of stuff. I mean, he destroyed his surveillance
system that he allegedly destroyed, the cell phone that he destroyed. They took dogs in, whether it's cadaver dogs. Was he dead there at the scene? The victim was found within a mile. You've also got all kinds of forensic testing that will be done. He brings in a cleaning service within a couple of days, a major cleaning service. They will go through all of the forensics, and they've got the goods, make no mistake. And by the way, you know, as someone who's made these arrests, you don't have to agree to the defense attorney. Okay. Well, he is apparently dating the sister of Aaron's girlfriend. So there is a connection.
But it seems very suspicious.
And more to come, I'm sure. Judge, I want to ask you, you've written your second legal thriller, Clever Fox. It's about a female prosecutor in the 80s. How much of the Clever Fox is you?
Well, I can certainly relate to her. She is my alter ego, and she is a young, idealistic prosecutor, the only woman in an pretty much all male-dominated courthouse, and she is torn between two men. She is young and she is sweet, but what she doesn't know about these men can be dangerous to her, and there's so much about the men in our lives that we don't know about.
So were you young and sweet once, Jeanine?
I was young and sweet once. And you know, I wrote the book because I thought that the public has a hunger for crimes. What the public doesn't know is that there is the politics behind the actual narrative of the crime, and that will determine whether or not and how a case gets prosecuted, and Danny finds that out.
Well, I do know this, and you may not, but you were the first female prosecutor in Westchester County, New York, right?
I was the first female prosecutor to prosecute a murder case, and I was one of the first in the office, without a doubt. And the first judge and the first DA who's female, and the first this and that. And what I love about this is that I tell a secret. The biggest secret in law enforcement is a turf war between the feds and the locals.
That's right.
And then Danny ends up having a sexual tension with this FBI guy.
Foxy stuff. You want to give congratulations.
No. He would not be prosecuting people who do that.
We want to give our thanks, of course, to the fabulous Sunny Hostin and Judge Jeanine Pirro. Members of our audience, you're lucky because you're going home with a copy of Clever Fox. Have a great day, everyone.